Have you ever felt like you've gone too far? Like you've messed up too many times? Drifted too deeply? Closed off the part of you that once used to feel connected? And now you look back and wonder, is it even possible to return? Because so much time has passed and so much has changed inside you. And you can't remember the last time you felt at peace, or the last time you prayed with focus, or the last time your heart softened the way it used to. And maybe you're too afraid to even try, because it feels like the door is already shut. Like you shut it yourself when you kept ignoring the signs, delaying the return, turning your back on the very peace you once begged for. But here's something your soul needs to hear right now. The door to Allah is still open. It has always been open, and it will always remain open, because it's not Allah who slams the door. It's us who stop knocking. It's us who drift away in silence. It's us who forget. But He never forgets. He never gives up on you, even when you've given up on yourself. And maybe you're thinking, but I knew better, or I've failed too many times, or my sins are too heavy. But the truth is, His mercy is heavier, always, always heavier. There is no weight in this world that can outweigh His forgiveness when you turn back sincerely. And no matter how long you've been away, no matter how cold your heart has become, no matter how many prayers you've missed or how many chances you ignored, the return is still possible. And it is still beautiful. And the longer you've been gone, the sweeter that return becomes. You're not disqualified from mercy just because you've stayed silent for too long. You're not rejected just because you kept delaying. You're still welcome. You're still wanted. The only thing between you and Him is one sincere whisper. That's all it takes. You don't need to fix everything first. You don't need to know what to say. You don't even need to be strong. You just need to want Him. You just need to take one step, and He takes many. And when you do, you'll realize the door was never locked. You'll realize He was never far. You'll realize your tears still count. Your voice still matters. Your soul is still redeemable. You'll realize that what looked like distance was always met with patience. That what felt like failure was seen as struggle. That what you thought would close the door forever was actually the thing that humbled you enough to finally knock again. So knock. Even if your hands are trembling, even if your voice shakes, even if you feel ashamed, knock anyway. Because He never stopped listening. And He never stopped loving you. And He never turned His face away from you. Not for a second. Maybe you did. Maybe you closed the door from your side. Maybe you stayed away because you thought you weren't worthy. But worthiness was never the condition. Sincerity was. And sincerity doesn't come from perfection. It comes from truth. It comes from acknowledging your need for Him, your dependence on Him, your emptiness without Him. And if today you feel that emptiness, don't run from it. Let it be your reminder. Let it lead you home. Let it take you to the only door that never shuts you out. Because the one who created your soul knows exactly how to heal it. And He knows how to bring you back. Even if it's been years. Even if you can't remember the last time you prayed with peace. Even if you feel like a stranger to your own faith. You're not too far. You're never too far. And the door is still open. Wide open. So take the step. Say the words. Whisper your heart. And let this be the moment you stop walking away and start walking home. Let this be the moment your soul breathes again. Because the door to Allah is still open. Even if you've closed it 1,000 times before. there's something powerful in realizing that the same door you walked away from is still open for you to walk back through. That even after all the silence, all the distance, all the distractions that pulled you away, that same door remains unlocked, untouched, unchanged, because Allah never changes His invitation. It's us who forget to respond, and maybe you've closed that door many times out of guilt, out of fear, out of shame, telling yourself, I'll return when I'm ready, or I'll change when I'm stronger. But the truth is, readiness doesn't come before the return. It comes after, and strength doesn't appear before the prayer. It grows within the prayer. And waiting to be perfect before turning back is like waiting to stop bleeding before calling for help. It doesn't make sense. You call out because you're hurting. You return because you're broken. You knock because you feel distant. And the beauty is, Allah responds even when the knock is weak, even when your voice is a whisper, even when all you can do is cry. Maybe you've been distant not just for days or months, but for years. And that distance has hardened something inside you, made you numb, made you think it's too late. But your heart remembers what your mind tries to silence. Your soul still knows its way back. And that knowing is enough to begin. You don't need a perfect plan or a dramatic turning point or sudden transformation. You just need a single moment of truth between you and Allah. A moment where you say, I miss you and I want to come back. And that alone begins to open the doors that you thought were closed. Because no door remains shut when a sincere heart is knocking. And no soul is turned away when it returns in humility. Even if you can't undo what's been done. Even if the past feels too messy to clean. Even if you think your sins are too many, the mercy of Allah is more, always more. You could spend your whole life sinning and still one sincere return could outweigh it all. That's not because you're special, that's because He is. His mercy isn't earned, it's given. Freely, lovingly, repeatedly. And that's what Shaitan wants you to forget. He doesn't just want you to sin. He wants you to despair. He wants you to believe the door is locked, that there's no coming back, that you've gone too far, that your name is no longer worthy of being spoken in prayer. But those are lies, empty lies. Because Allah Himself says the opposite, that He's close, that He listens, that He accepts, that He loves those who return again and again, even if they fall 1,000 times. So fall, and rise, and return, and knock. Because every time you do, you're proving Shaitan wrong. You're taking your power back. You're showing that your past soul, that doesn't define you. Your return does. And you don't have to wait for some perfect moment. You just need to want it. And if all you have right now is a quiet heart and a tear or two and a feeling that maybe, just maybe, it's time to come back, that's enough. That's everything. That whisper in your chest that's telling you, go back to Allah, is not your imagination. That's your fitra calling you home. That's your soul remembering where it belongs. And the longer you've been away, the sweeter the return will feel. Because distance only makes the reunion more meaningful. The silence only makes the doer more powerful. And the emptiness you felt, it's been preparing you for this very moment. So stop waiting. Stop hesitating. Stop thinking you need to have it all figured out before you begin. Just begin. Even if your prayer is shaky, even if your focus is gone, even if all you can say is, help me, because He will. He always does. He always hears, and He always answers. You just need to knock. You just need to whisper. You just need to try, because the door is still open, even if you've closed it before. Sometimes the guilt becomes so heavy that it builds a wall between you and the door you once knew was open. And you begin to wonder, how could Allah still want me after all this time? Because you look back at your life and see not just mistakes but patterns, not just sins but habits, and not just slips but choices. And somewhere along the way you convinced yourself that you don't deserve to knock on His door anymore. That you had your chance and you blew it. But here's the truth: your soul is itching to hug the door to Allah. Doesn't close because of your sins. It only feels closed because you've stopped walking toward it. You can turn around right now, no matter where you've wandered, and you will still find it open, because His mercy was never based on your performance. It was always rooted in His love. And that love isn't fragile like human love. It doesn't give up on you when you fail. It doesn't need you to impress it. It just waits patiently, constantly, eternally for your return. And maybe that return won't be loud or dramatic. Maybe no one will even notice. Maybe it will happen in the quiet of your heart, in a room where you sit alone, tired of carrying the weight, tired of pretending to be fine, tired of being distant. And in that stillness, you whisper a broken wa Allah, and something shifts, something softens, something inside you finally stops running. That is the return. That is the miracle. That is the beginning of everything changing. And yes, you'll still struggle. You'll still stumble. You might even fall again. But the difference is now you're facing the right direction. Now you're walking back toward the door. And every step you take is loved. Every effort is seen. Every sincere tear is recorded. You don't have to sprint. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to keep moving. Because the road back to Allah isn't a straight line. It's full of detours and setbacks and restarts. And He knows that. He doesn't expect you to arrive overnight. He just asks you to keep coming. And if you've closed the door again, even after returning once, don't let shame stop you from knocking again. Don't let guilt convince you it's too late. You can knock 100 times and He will open it 100 times more. You can walk away again, and He will welcome you every time you return. Not because you're strong, but because He is merciful. Not because you deserve it, but because He chose to love you unconditionally. So don't let your past bully you out of your future. Let your lowest moments make you forget the one who lifted others higher from worse places. You're not the only one who's ever closed that door. So many before you have too. And they came back, and they were loved, and they were forgiven, and they were honored. Some of the most beloved souls to Allah were those who fell, but chose to rise again. Those who strayed, but found their way back. Those who broke down, but used that breakdown to finally rebuild. Not with their own strength, but with His. So if your soul is tired, let that tiredness push you to stop running. If your heart is aching, let that ache guide you home. If your mind is whispering, it's too late, let your faith respond with, but His door is still open, because it is. It always is, even now, even here, even after everything. You don't need a perfect past to return to Him. You just need an honest present. You just need to knock again. Because He never stopped listening. And He never stopped waiting. Sometimes what hurts the most isn't that we've sinned. It's that we convinced ourselves we were too far gone to ever return. That somehow we've crossed a line that mercy can't reach. That after all the mistakes, all the missed prayers, all the moments we chose everything else over Allah, the door would be shut, locked, sealed. And yet, even now, after everything, the door to Him remains open. Not because we've earned it, but because He is more generous than we can ever understand. And He doesn't wait for us to be perfect. He waits for us to be sincere. And maybe you're thinking, but I've closed it so many times. I've walked away so deliberately. I knew the truth and still ignored it. So how can I now expect forgiveness? And that's where the beauty begins. Because no matter how many times you've slammed the door on your own soul, Allah never slams it back on you. He just waits quietly, patiently, lovingly, because He knows that one day your heart will age in just the right way. In that 8H, you'll remember. And when you do, even if it's decades later, the door will still be right where you left it, open, waiting, welcoming. No lock, no barrier, no condition except this: come back sincerely. That's it. That's all He asks. And you don't need perfect words or a clean record or a long list of good deeds. You need a single whisper, a single tear, a single moment of, Ya Allah, I want to come home. And that moment, that intention, becomes the start of something eternal. And the longer you've been away, the sweeter that return becomes. Because when you finally feel His mercy after drowning in guilt, it hits deeper. When you finally feel peace after years of silence, it melts you. When you finally say, Ya Allah, after holding back for so long, it breaks something inside you in the best way. And in that breaking, He begins to rebuild, not just your faith, not just your connection, but you. He rebuilds you from the inside out, and suddenly the emptiness starts to fade. The shame starts to lift, and you realize that everything you were chasing before, the people, the status, the escape, none of it gave you what a single moment with Him does. And no one knows how sweet that return feels except the one who stayed away long enough to realize how much they missed Him. And maybe you're scared to feel again, scared to hope again, scared to open your heart and then fail again. But that fear is the doorway to humility, and humility is what Allah loves most. He doesn't love arrogance. He doesn't love perfection. He loves the one who comes crawling back broken and sincere, who says, I'm sorry, and means it. And the more real that sorrow is, the more reward it brings. So don't wait for some magical moment. Don't wait until you've fixed everything. Don't wait for your life to be back in order. Just knock, softly, quietly, honestly, and you'll find the door swings wide open. And on the other side of that door is not just mercy, it's hope, it's healing, it's heal love. It's the sense that no matter how many people turned away from you, your Lord never did. And that right there is enough to try again. That's enough to whisper again. That's enough to believe again. So knock, even if you don't feel ready. Knock, even if all you have is regret. Knock, even if your heart isn't fully in it yet. Because He sees the effort behind the action. He sees the pain behind the silence. He sees the longing behind your doubt, and He never turns away the one who knocks with sincerity. Never. So this is your moment. This is your chance. This is your opening. The door to Allah is still open. Knock again. He never stopped listening. And now, if your heart is still whispering, if the tears are still close, if you've been holding back, unsure of how to begin, unsure of what to say, let this be the moment you realize you don't need to wait for the perfect words, because Allah already knows what's inside you. And sometimes the most powerful return begins not with a speech or a well-worded prayer, but with silence, with a sigh, with a single tear that no one else sees. He sees. And in that quiet tear is an entire story, one only he understands. Because he was there in every moment you felt lost. He was there when you stayed up at night questioning your worth. He was there when you gave up on yourself. And even when you thought he was far, he never left. It was you who turned away, but he never closed the door. And now that you're here, thinking about him again, longing for him again, hoping that somehow, some way, you can reconnect, that hope alone is a sign that the door is still open, that whisper in your soul that says, I miss him, is not from nowhere. It's from the part of you that never stopped needing him, no matter how far you ran, no matter how long you were gone. And maybe you've tried before. Maybe you came back once or twice or 10 times, and every time you fell again, and every time you told yourself, that's it, I've blown it. But the truth is, you can never fall too many times for the one who created you to return. You can never cry too much for the one who accepts every tear as worship. You can never knock too often on a door that was made to remain open. Because you are not your past. You are not your sins. You are not the delay. You are not the mistakes. You are the one he still wants back. And that's why you're hearing this now. That's why you're still breathing. Because he hasn't written you off. He hasn't given up on you. So don't give up on yourself. Don't let the darkness convince you that the light is gone. Don't let Shaitan trick you into believing the lie that Allah is done with you. Because if he was, you wouldn't still feel this pull. You wouldn't still be looking for your way back. You wouldn't still feel that tightness in your chest that says, I just want peace. That's not guilt. That's your soul waking up. That's your soul remembering its place. And its place is with him. So go back. Even if your prayer isn't perfect, even if you can't cry every time, even if your thoughts wander, go back. Even if you feel undeserving, even if you feel numb, even if it feels awkward at first, because every step you take, he takes more. Every time you whisper his name, he hears. And every time you try, even if you fail again, he rewards you. That's the beauty of who he is. That's the mercy you've been searching for in every corner of this world. And nothing compares. No comfort, no success, no person, no escape. Nothing feels like the moment you finally go of your pride, your shame, your fear, and say, yeah, Allah, I'm tired. I'm broken, but I'm back. And when you do, you will find a peace that doesn't just visit. It stays. A love that doesn't just soothe. It transforms. A nearness that doesn't just heal, it revives. So don't delay another second. Don't wait until you're ready. This is readiness. Right now. You're not too far. You're not too late. The door to Allah is still open. Even if you've closed it 1,000 times. Even if you feel unworthy. Even if you don't know how. Just knock again, softly, honestly. With all that's left in you, knock. Because he never stopped listening. And he's still waiting. Not to punish you. Not to shame you. But to welcome you home